If you observe people, those around you closely, you'll find that the majority of people are addicted to distress. The majority of people are addicted to feeling stress, fear, agony, madness, hatred. The majority of people are addicted to feeling all of such emotions, and you should be aware that this is a real addiction. It is as real as any addiction could get, because you should know that there is process addiction and chemical or substance addiction. Substance addiction is the one that the majority of people are familiar with. Process addiction is the addiction such as if whenever you feel bad, you've got to binge watch in order for you to cope. Whenever you feel bad or down, you feel as if you need to binge eat to cope. And that's all avoiding and escapism. Escaping your life, escaping the boredom in your life, escaping the fear in your life, escaping the stress in your life. And it works on hormonal imbalances and your neural pathways. The same substance addiction works on your hormones. So it is a real addiction. I'm not making up it here. Thing is, process addiction is very subtle, and it could pass by without us noticing it. In fact, it actually passes by everyone without them realizing. It always shadows over you, and it's always there with you, but you're unaware that it's actually there, that you are addicted to say to such and such. And the thing is, what if you can be addicted to the opposite of that? Because the majority of people, whenever are faced by something that scares them, whenever are faced by something that stresses them, whenever they're faced by something that they hate, despite in themselves and others around them, in life in general, in their work, in their home, they like to feed that feeling. They're addicted to building on top of it. Yes, in order for it to be justified, in order for the brain to understand why. That's where the addiction is coming from. Yes, I should be this mad. Yes, I should be this angry. Yes, I should be hating that thing or that person for causing that to my life. It's also related to living in the victim mentality. Finding reasons, justifying, when it's too late, when you're so much in despair and you feel helpless, you want to justify it. Rather than taking on the blame by yourself, rather than being responsible, which is much harder, rather than sitting with your emotions, understanding them, being with them, understanding where they're coming from, you opt out for feeding them in order to avoid making sense really out of them. So the other way of feeding them, of making sense out of them, is coping. I'm addicted to feeling, you feel something bad happens in your life. You justify it by, or rather your subconscious justifies it by thinking that it's worthless, that you are worthless. And it tells you that, whether you're aware of that pattern or not, it's what's happening. Because the brain, the subconscious, cannot let anything go without justification. If you've been hurt and abandoned, and you're not sitting with that emotion, you're not getting to the depth of it, you're not doing the shadow work, what's your brain going to do? It's going to cope by thinking that you are undeserving, and you're going to be branded for life. It's going to brand you. It's going to become a part of your programming, your factory settings. And whenever you're faced by a similar situation, you revert to your factory settings, you revert to your programming, your deeply embedded beliefs. And so on the regular basis, whenever something that maddens you, whenever something that angers you happen, when say it's something, someone cut you in line while you're driving, you want to feed, you're addicted to feeding that emotion. You hate it, you increase the hatred, you make reason for why you hate that person, you make reason for why that thing is wrong, you make reason for why you could judge that person so severely and so critically and so harshly. Whenever you're stressing over something, you make up reasons, you keep feeding that thing. It is because of this and that and this and that, and that thing has caused me this, that person had did this, it had done that to me, had this, is doing this to me, whatever. You just want to keep feeding it over and over and over, because it makes you feel comfortable, it makes you revert back to your programming. That's what your subconscious knows, that what your subconscious learned and got programmed to at a younger age, because if you had no one to explain it and clarify it for you better whenever you faced something unusual, whenever you had something inexplainable happen to you and it hurt you on some level, your subconscious had to cope, your brain had to cope, the ego had to cope in such a manner, and you grew addicted to it. Have you ever, say the same example, someone cut you in line while you're driving, and you found yourself getting worked up, and you were about to go into that rage, you're about to feed those emotions, you're about to feed your stress, your apprehension, your fear, your rage, your madness. Did you ever stop and go like, oh, not today? That's not going to be able to control me today? Because I've done that, and it works, simply stating. It works amazing, it works like a miracle. Because once you stop and say that, it really doesn't have any control over you. It really doesn't have any power over you. You're really not seeping out any energy from your essence, from your being towards that thing. So your energy stops being dispersed, and now your energy is condensed. And now you have energy to create other things, to attract, to magnetize other things. But whenever your heart is always worked up with this thing, with that person, with that event, with that circumstance, with that outcome, with someone doing something you don't like, and just in the streets, rather than letting that thing control you, rather than stopping and going like, this is this because of that, and that's this and this and that, you analyze it with judgment, with criticism, with hatred, with despite, and hating that person, and hating, those are all dispersed energies. This is all energy seeping away from you, seeping out of you, out of your essence, of your pure conscious energy state of being, out of your higher self, your soul, your spirit. And once you try stopping yourself and going like, not today, it's just, very similar to saying no to the devil. Whenever the devil is trying to tempt you to do this or that, and whether it's always feeding negative emotion, it's always going to be feeding something of low vibration, something of low frequency. Indulge in your addiction, If you go stop and say, no, not today, you're taking back control, you're claiming back your power, you're taking back your energy, you're condensing your energy rather than giving it away. Whenever you stop yourself from stressing over something in the future that you're not sure whether it's going to happen or not, just because you got some little hints, and now you want to fear, you want to stress, you want to despise, you want to apprehend, and hate your life, eventually hate yourself for all of it. Stop yourself and say that, no, this is not going to happen. I'm aware of myself, I know my worth, I know what I'm aligned with. That's not going to happen. I'm not aligned with this thing I apprehend out of the future, with that thing I fear from the future. I'm not aligned with that thing. It's low vibration, it's low frequency, I'm not in that life, I'm not in that state. I'm higher than that. I vibrate highly, I vibrate in high frequency. Get yourself addicted to this. Every time something is about to get you worked up, Stop, take a breath, and say no. This is not going to control me. This is not going to happen. Whether it's something in the future, whether it's something happening now, someone did something in front of you that affected your emotions, that triggered, stimulated you in some way. Go like, no, this is completely non-triggering to me. And this is not to lie to yourself. This is not lying to yourself. This is not being naive. This is just shifting your life around. This is just turning your life around. Shifting from a frequency that you're very used to, of being very immersive and very indulging, very easily triggered, very easily influenced by whatever is happening in your external environment, to you shifting into being in control, being zen, having your power within you, taking your power back, claiming your energy for yourself, rather than spreading endless cords of energy to each and every event you get worked up over, you get triggered by, and you feed that energy. Whenever your heart gets worked up, it means that you have reached to a state in which something is able to affect your mood, to affect your being, to affect your personality. And now you're not the person you were just 5 minutes ago, or normally during the day. Now you're confirming that something has happened, that thing is affecting you. And this is where you give your heart's attention, because it's affecting your emotions, not just your thoughts. Mental attention would just be thoughts. Heart attention is your emotions. Whenever your emotions are changing over something, it means that thing has the power to affect you emotionally, your mood, your personality, your character in essence. And that means that you're giving it energy, you're creating cords of energy to that thing, and now it has control over you to a certain degree, depending on how much you're feeding it. And rather than doing that, stop yourself and go that, not today, this is not going to happen. I'm not getting worked up over meaningless things, unless it is something that's happening 100% in your present moment, and there's no reason to live to apprehend it in the future. Be in the present. If I would surmise this whole topic is be present. That's the power of living in the now. The power of the now. The whole book explaining why being present is your path to enlightenment by Eckhart Tolle. So now you're being addicted to having your power within you, to being happy. Whenever your paranoia kicks in, whenever your stress kicks in, whenever your fear kicks in, whenever your hatred, your despite kicks in, go no. Say no. Your ego wants to act upon it so fast. Put your ego aside and live it through your higher self. Live it in grace. Look at it as something neutral. Look at it as something that's, perhaps not even real, because it's something you're afraid of in the future. And tell yourself that you're going to maintain the high vibe you've been throughout the day. Once you do that, change happens so fast. I'm telling you, it works like miracles. It's not easy to do it all the time, but it's easier than you think. It's easier than I thought. I've always known to do that. I've always thought about doing that. Never tried doing it until recently, until some time ago. And it was easier than I expected, to be honest. It is easier. It is, once you do it, somehow your brain calms down, your ego calms down quickly, and it understands that it's not happening now. It is not really meaningful. It is not something that great of a deal, that big of a deal. It comprehends it so fluently, so fast for some reason, and you're able to maintain your high vibe. You're able to maintain your high state of being. You're able to maintain your joy, your peace, your calm, your love, your bliss. That's what you've been maintaining. And that in turn reflects into your life so quickly as well. At some point I saw results the next day of me maintaining that, a high state of being, a higher frequency, high vibrational state of being continuously throughout a whole day. I got triggered so many times during that day, stopped it every time successfully, from affecting me emotionally, from affecting my mood. Because most of the time, it's things in your head. It's not even real in most cases. Sometimes it's real. Sometimes there's a reason for you to be scared, a reason for you to stress, a reason for you, but it's not instant. It's not as urgent as you might think. And by you not acting upon it, you're actually creating a different future. You're actually changing your future because you're shifting your reality, and now you're shifting into a different future which does not have that. But if you act upon it, it is as if you are saying it is happening externally. That thing, if you feel stressed, if you get worked up, it is happening. And your brain, if it does not find instant reason to justify why you're feeling that way, your subconscious is going to revert to your programming, and it's going to tell you you're unworthy, or it's going to tell you that, it's going to create that thing into being. Even it's going to focus your energy into creating something externally to prove to you that your feelings are actually justified, that your hatred, your despair, your stress, your fear is justified. The more you don't act upon it, the more it's going to go to where you actually want it to be, to where you actually would like it to be, which is, somewhere nice, a nice experience in life, having something different rather than the distress you've been living in. And that's how you become addicted to the positive, to high vibes, to high frequency. Not to a crippling extent that you become very delusional, although the line is very fine, but you would know, it's even better. Even if it takes you to delusions or something, delusion land, and it's still better than living in your addictions of feeding the stress. Thank you so much for tuning in to another video by AF's Conscious Frequency. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel, because it helps the video find its way to many more others who might actually need it.